A little rough. Oh, cute. All right, tell them to join. Like, tell them I'm on the. Whoa, these Christmas lights. I don't know if this is a good vibe. You have my gnome too. Okay, yeah, we have Lord of the Rings decal. Let's do it. We're gonna commit to it. All right, Andrew Choi. I don't know who you are, but you can't be in.
Oh, Andrew. I gave him the link earlier. He's on my earphone class.
All right. When you see them join, Kenny, will you like let him in?
Yeah.
We need to play the music, don't we? How do you do that? What's the best way to?
It's instead of share screen, share sound. Can I move this and take this chair?
Yeah. Are you gonna be in? Do you want to be in the screen with me?
If you want, I can just
Okay.
Completely up to you.
Why is my browsers have just been like wiped lately? It's weird. Open web player.
And I think you just share sound.
Okay.
See, this is the other tab. This one
Sounds cute. So just share sound like that?
Yeah. Because then it doesn't share the screen.
Where's my screen?
Are you sharing the screen too? What's down there, man? Just stop the share.
Weird. Oh yeah, it's sharing my desktop. Working.
Oh, hold on. Let me come back. I need to sign out of the Phil Scoring Network thing. Hello.
Hear my sound?
Yeah, it's really loud. I would turn it down a little bit.
Is that better?
Yeah. That's great.
I always hate the anxiety of like, is the composer gonna show up?
Fair enough. I think you would be over it by now.
What time is it?
We've done so many.
Oh, we're chill. What?
I would have thought that you would have been over that by now since we've interviewed so many people.
No, I'm not over it. I'm not over it. Always gives me anxiety. Like, they're not gonna come. They're gonna mess
Also,
up.
what track is playing right now?
It's Simple Harp Variation number 1 from
From-
season 4 of The Crowd.
Okay. Huh. I'm still all of his tracks.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There is. And they're very different. I like this one though.
It's nice.
Guess we're just waiting on Franco. Franco. Is it that icy out there right now?
It's gross. I wouldn't say it's like icy to walk, maybe to drive, but it's like the slush ice, if that makes sense. It's really gross though.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, I was like, I haven't actually gone anywhere because once it got canceled, I was like, oh, guess I'll just stay home. But I haven't been out and about yet. So I don't know how bad it is.
My ear training class canceled before Berkeley even did. Because he was like, I can't get into the city. And then Berkeley canceled. And my teacher was like, come in for an hour. So did that. But the other teacher hasn't emailed us. And I have class at 2 apparently. But he hasn't said anything. But he also said he hates Zoom. So I doubt we're going to do anything.
Yeah, I know so many teachers who avoid Zoom like the plague nowadays.
You know, 2-minute face fix. Does my face look better now? Yeah, it does.
You have a nice little backdrop. I just have my gross looking bland.
Hey, look, it's my Lord of the Rings
room.
decal.
Yeah, I saw. That's what I was saying. It's like you have a perfect little lights and.
I did my USC video like with the Lord of the Rings decal in it. I was really happy.
Prime. Yeah, when you hear back like later, like in March, right?
Yeah. So when I was at the Celtics game, and I got this email that said your USC application decision, and I was like, ugh. And it was like, just so you know, your application decision will be in April 1st, and I was like, oh.
That's so long. That's a while.
Like, who sends that email? Like,
yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
What a terrible thing to do to a person. I'm just sitting at the Celtics game, just being like, what is it? You'll find out by April 1st. I was like,
that's so mean.
Well, maybe it like takes some stress after like already having gone through the process of seeing an email.
John was like, bring the color back. Stop it. You're translucent. Because I was like, when that email comes in though, I'm not gonna be happy until I find the answer. I'll just be like,
yeah, we've all been there, kind of. With the
I
Berkeley
didn't really have the chance to be nervous about Berkeley because I found out like 2 weeks after my audition.
That's nice.
They told me January 31st, like no exceptions, and then sent it to me December, like
I found out like in November. I was like,
and I was in middle class, and they're like, your admissions decision, and that's when I was like,
I was pretty sure I was in because they were like, cool stuff, and I was like, thanks, and they were like, see ya.
No, nice.
I was like, oh, okay.
No, I just cried. I was like, there's no way I'm getting in. I just broke down. I didn't even read the email at first. It took me like 2 hours to open it.
Berkeley was like really off my radar back then because I had just decided to do music because I was an injured dancer, so I was basically just a big old flightless bird looking for something to do. So I love this score.
Yeah, this one's one of my favorites that I listen to.
Come on, Martin. It's okay. He has 3 minutes. He has 3 minutes.
Oh, can you make me co-host?
Yeah. I'll co-host. Okay, ready? Co-host.
Are we allowed to record?
I'm gonna ask him when we start.
Okay.
Wait, I don't know how to make you. Wait, I do.
Back to the basics.
Hello.
I know.
Zoom
I love that I
basics.
don't remember how to do Zoom.
You and like every Berkeley
for,
teacher.
What's it called? What are we gonna do for applicants for the board?
I was thinking we could send out one of the things that you can.
The when to meet?
Yeah, I think honestly later in the day, like after 5 or something, just one day would work better for everyone trying to mix like 6 people's schedules into one.
Oh, so we are gonna do the group interview?
I think that's what we decided was to do. Yeah, did we decide group interview? And then if
I was leaving it up to you and Franco, but it's like it's your interview kind of.
I'm pretty sure we said group, and then if we can't tell still people, then like an individual one maybe. But I feel like we'll be fine with just the 2 groups. Maybe the upperclassmen.
Wait, enter the rating room. Wait, I can't pronounce his name very well. Wait. Squirrel guy. Squirrel kid.
Yeah.
Kid that loves the squirrels. Yeah. I should maybe just text him. I worry that like he gets like the date wrong or something. Oh, it's Grace Mary. Of course we're gonna make Grace Mary.
Grace.
Yeah, if like no one comes, if he didn't come, that'd be so awkward. Oh my god. That's never happened in FSN history. I would literally die.
Hi, Grace.
Hi, Grace.
Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. How's the weather in Boston? Your school was closed, right?
Slushy. Slush.
I think it was more for the teachers not being able to get in.
Oh.
Yeah.
My PI got canceled, and then everything else.
I'm gonna get my notebook and move my tea. Not my tea.
Lauren and her tea.
Lauren and my soup. It's soup.
Oh, soup. It's usually tea.
Ugh, come on. I hate this part.
Got 17 people in the waiting room.
I know this is tough for me.
Ooh, Denia. Oh, maybe not. Where'd she go?
I just messaged him that we're ready. Med hat. Now we know it's for real. I'm gonna make a quick announcement to everybody. I'm looking for someone to help me with mock-ups for 0 pay. So I'm gonna announce that. I need someone to help me mock up my Pinar Toprak thing because I don't want to do it. But the group needs practice tracks.
Rough.
Is she coming to Berkeley again?
Yeah, she is.
Oh.
No.
So I'm doing this arrangement for her to be played at this show that they're hosting, like the Alumni Affairs Award thing.
Oh, dang.
I explained that so horribly. But then she's gonna come do films, like a film scoring career center type of thing.
Wow. What date's that gonna be?
This semester?
Yeah, in a couple, like in March 30th or something.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna surprise her with a live arrangement of her music. So that's what I'm doing. I get to have dinner with her. I'm really excited. I know.
Okay,
I don't
Lauren.
really have I don't have a lot of cool, so I'm gonna be like, hi, huge fan. So, but apparently she's really nice. Yeah, apparently she's so nice. Okay, now it's 1:02. We've officially reached like.
Do we open it up?
Yeah, I guess we could just admit people.
Yeah, I hate this. He confirmed yesterday, so the only problem would be like if he got the time change wrong. Michael Samanik.
I'll just admit everyone you could make
Okay.
the announcement for
We're gonna admit everybody. This is tough for me. Okay. I'm fine.
Oh my god, I'd also be freaking out.
What's that?
If this is me, I'd also be freaking
Thank you for
out.
that. Thanks for that. Cool.
Don't worry, it's gonna be
Maybe
great.
he's under a name I don't know.
Imagine he just put a random name.
Like we're playing his music, so it'd be really awkward. We're like, we're gonna stop because he's not here. Last time it was Martin. When is it in London right now? Yeah. Yeah, 6:03. Okay, I got it right.
I mean, let's be optimistic. Maybe he's just getting the water out of the kettle. Want to make tea?
Yeah. Definitely. He didn't do me dirty last time. So. Is he Bimbo? Is that him? Bimbo? The name's there. Okay, we have to admit everyone calling it. Hello, everybody. Welcome. You can hear my music. This is Martin Phipps' music. We are currently waiting for him still to arrive. So, yeah. Let's okay, how's everyone doing? I see a lot of like no faces. But how's everyone doing? Everyone's good. That's exciting. I'm doing good too. Okay.
I don't see a Martin.
No, I don't think he's here yet.
Or someone other named.
I feel like he would have announced himself at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just hold on for a minute.
Hope everyone's staying safe. No,
Yeah, it's icy
everything got
today.
canceled.
That sucks.
Yeah, that'd be awkward.
Okay, while we're waiting, I will announce. I was gonna put it on my Instagram, but then I was like, it was awkward. Michael realized halfway through class that it was being held on Zoom. Yeah, I was tutoring in the Berkeley film scoring tutor. I'm a Berkeley film scoring tutor. If anyone needs help with anything, like the whole class showed up outside of the film scoring room, and they were like, "What do you mean? There's no class." But I am working on a film project. If anyone knows Pinar Toprak, it's involved with her. So I am looking for someone to help me with some mocking up of some arrangements I'm doing for a show. So if anyone is good at orchestral mock-ups and wants to be paid very little, but might get to meet Pinar Toprak, please DM me, but like, please actually be good at mock-ups because I won't be able to like show you how to do it. So I'm just hoping to be able to like send some scores to someone. They can just mock it up for me and I can have some practice tracks for everybody. So if anyone's interested in that, you can just email me at lcott@berkeley.edu or DM on Instagram. I'll just put my Instagram in the chat.
Do they need to be good at the interchange?
No Pro Tools.
Yeah.
I don't care what DAW you do it in,
There you
or
go.
what you use. I just need the tracks. Yeah. So if you're interested, please email me here. And if you don't hear from me or something, I'm sorry. Probably because I'm super overwhelmed. But I hope everybody's doing well. It is now 1:07. We are waiting for our composer. And so you might all be witnessing film scoring history in which the composer doesn't show up. We've met with Martin before. I don't know if anybody did like some research on who he is. He's one of like the OG BBC composers involved with Netflix and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Yeah, if anyone has any commentary on something they want to talk about this week, I'm not going to jinx it. I am not.
Then stop saying it.
Well, I don't believe in jinxing, so if he wants to show if he'll come. But yeah, this is the replacement of the senior seminar today.
Would anyone in this call want to be interviewed in the meanwhile?
Yeah, does anyone else want to be interviewed about how they got their start in film scoring?
Wait,
Medhat! Hello, Medhat!
Hey, everybody.
So, for people that don't know who Medhat is, he's one of my favorite Film Scoring Network members. Medhat's a professor of film music in Canada and works on lots of projects, and he's in the master's program. So, people should reach out to Medhat. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been teaching film scoring since 2016. I've been active in the industry for 11 years now, and mostly do television. But I decided to go back to school just to make sure that I'm jumping through all the hoops. But I've been in the industry for a while. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, Medhat's very cool. I'm here. Can you go?
Can you, anybody who needs like any like career advice or anything, I've done all the mistakes you can do. So reach out. Don't hesitate.
What are your thoughts on freelancing versus in-house composing?
I actually almost worked for Gameloft as an in-house composer in Montreal. I got recruited a few times, and I said no because they wanted me to be full-time as a composer, and they wanted me to stop basically my studies. In-house is good, but at the same time, I feel the thing is, the second you leave, if you don't have those people skills, you're kind of left on your own and with no contacts and nothing. So I really think it's really crucial to work on those people skills. And also when you work for an in-house company, like in my case with Gameloft, you are exclusive to that company. You can't work for anybody else. So technically, you can't even network elsewhere. So it's a blessing in this guy. It's like the poison apple. So there's a good thing and there are bad things about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a hold of our composer. His assistant has his laptop and has run off with it. So he will be here in a few minutes.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah, he didn't have an assistant last time I met him. So now I want to be like, what's it like having an assistant? So yeah, people, now's your time. Think about questions. This person has worked in the film industry for like 40, 30 years or something like that. So now's a great chance. I'm going to ask some intro questions to kind of get the Martin's probably one of my more favorite composers we've interviewed, in just that he's super kind and easy to talk to and no ego. That's probably my favorite part. You meet the composers that are a little ego central, that with the questions and stuff. So yeah, that's not what we're dealing with. So I think the best way, we should establish how to do questions, because sometimes that's gone a little haywire. How about you put your questions in the chat once we get started, and please leave the questions related to what we're talking or things like that. That's just inappropriate for who we're asking. So let's just make sure we're talking about thought-filled questions. So yeah.
And if you are asking about spoilers for like The Crown, you can just go on Wikipedia. I mean, it's all history anyway, so.
Yes. What happens to Princess Diana? Well, yeah. Okay. Everyone else have any? Over. What's that?
Hopefully we can like go 10 minutes over.
Yeah, we don't have anywhere to be. I don't have anywhere to be. The senior seminar got canceled today, so.
Yeah, so we can go over.
Darn.
I was so mad because I was like, you said it was on Zoom, and then they changed it, and then it got canceled. I don't know.
They should have made preparations to make it on Zoom.
Although I am looking outside and it is just like kind of raining, at least in Boston. So I do feel like my schedule's been really messed up on at least what's happening where I am in the city for just like some rain, but my sneakers got wet. It was slushy out. It was not ideal. I watched The Sound of Music last night, I guess for the Film Scoring Network, right? There was so much about The Sound of Music that I did not pick up on when I was little. First of all, every part of the Abbey or the Nazis was just painfully boring to me. And I don't want to say that part was interesting, but now I got it. Now I really understood the plot line because I was like 5 and I was like, ugh, nuns and Nazis. But I actually enjoyed the whole movie. So I really thought the music was really cool. I loved how the music, what like stuck out to me in that film is like sometimes the characters could hear like the score, the underscore, and then sometimes they couldn't. And I thought that was like a really interesting way of looking at film music. Like sometimes you don't necessarily have to explain if it makes sense if the character's hearing the score or not. I don't know. I thought that was a really interesting use. I know it's a musical, but yeah.
I heard an interview about with what's her name, Julie Andrews. That scene where she's apparently it was a nightmare. She was like,
our composer has arrived, so I'm going to pin you. There he is. Hello, Martin.
Hello.
How are you?
All right. Yeah, really sorry about that, guys.
No worries. Thanks for making it.
As I said, my assistant had run off with my laptop, and I suddenly panicked.
I was a freshman in college.
Right. Yeah.
I was 18, 19. Now I'm 22. I'm a senior. Everybody else has not met you before.
Hello, everybody.
So yeah, everyone, if they could just give some virtual claps. We're all remote today. We were supposed to meet in person, but we had some weather errors, so we are in our houses today.
You had some what?
We had some weather problems. We had an ice storm.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, it snowed 18 inches last weekend, and now it's at least it's not a COVID thing. Yeah, we are in school. COVID is, I actually don't even know what to say about it. It seems to be that we're getting through it.
What can you say? What is there to say? Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
So I would love it if you could just give a brief introduction. I had everybody kind of, look at your career. I made some playlists of your music.
Nice.
So everyone should have a general idea about your work and who you are. But, I would love to talk just, if you could give a quick introduction and a little bit of your early beginnings.
Sure. Yes. Sort of where I got to, how I got to where I got to. I started off, I grew up in a very musical family, so music wasn't a kind of surprise thing to do, but they was a very classical musical family, and I grew up nothing but classical music, and then kind of obviously got to like the age of 12, 13, as you would, and realized that I wasn't ever gonna, wasn't gonna get far, and certainly as a teenager listening to classical music. So I kind of joined a band, and I didn't then study music. So I never went to music college, and just came at it from a much more kind of commercial side. But then slowly throughout the rest of my, the last 30 years, I've slowly gone back towards the classical stuff, and it's just interesting about how that kind of thing is in you. If you grow up with it, it's very much in you, and you can't get rid of those roots. You can take the boy out of the classical world, but it stays with him. And so I actually then went to do drama at college, just to try and do something sort of creative, but not particularly music related, because in those days studying music at university was pretty dire and boring. It's obviously a lot more interesting for you guys, I'm sure, I hope, but it was very it was very traditional. So I did, and then I started writing the music. I was in bands and enjoying that, but struggling with the whole nature of that kind of beast. And then I started writing music for plays at college, and just that combination of the dramatic story and the characters and the music was a real eye-opener for me, and something really beautiful, and I really got into that. And that was a kind of got a job in like a post-production place. It was very early days of technology, and I was sort of really keen to try and get my head around it and understand studios at least. And because again, you know, my experience of music is people who just write, nothing wrong with this obviously, but just, and in fact genius, but write notes on paper and play it at the piano, and that would be it, and then they'd hand it over to the players, and that's not the way I could work, or indeed how I thought the sort of interesting music was going in those days. So I got to grips with it was like an Atari in those days. I mean, can you believe it, an Atari before the Mac. I got one of those and got going, and just stuck close to anybody who was making any kind of film or had anything to do with making short films or directing or just making moving pictures of any sort. Then I applied for National Film School, which is in sort of just outside London, and is a really good place. I think it's probably quite similar to the course you're doing, from what I remember hearing about it. And I then just from there went on to sort of score little bits of stuff that people were doing from the film school, and then along the way I married a woman who became a drama producer, so that really helped. I have to be honest, that's probably how I got my first drama break. I mean, literally doing something that she'd got off the ground, and hell, I wouldn't have got it if I hadn't been able to really impress the director. But that value of being, you know, getting in the room was, I mean, taken seriously was invaluable. And then, yeah, I've just been doing the same thing for a long time now, and finally kind of ended up doing music for the Crown, which is pretty much my ideal job, really. I don't think I really want to be doing, you know, I'm pretty happy doing that. I've kind of done it for like 3 years now, and I'm possibly had enough of the royal family, but I am, but then again, it's so good, and it keeps reinventing itself and evolving, that I really can't complain. You know, pretty happy doing that, and that's kind of where I am now. Missed out a bit in the middle there, but we can come back to that.
Yeah, no, I think when we met, I think
yeah,
3, like it was fresh. It had just come out.
Right.
Yeah, and so, you know, I just remember like that was one of my favorite scores that came out. I am a huge like fan of The Crown, so then also loving the music was so exciting, and it's such a famous show. I wanted, my first question with The Crown was to ask, you know, like the show every season adopts a new style. It brings in huge new character arcs. The sounds between the scores are totally different. Like in your newest score for season 4, we have a lot of like the voice and the harp and kind of the editing of these orchestral instruments. I would love for you to talk about kind of what it means to be an adaptable composer, you know, specifically within like how you've been working with The Crown.
Yeah, I mean, so I had the interesting thing of like I took over from Rupert Gregson-Williams and Lorne Balfe on it, and they, you know, I don't know quite why that relationship ended for them, and I think partly the guy who ran the whole thing wanted a change of tack on the music, and perhaps a little bit more control over it, or a little bit more involvement in it, and having someone, you know, people who are principally in LA and tied up with quite a lot of other stuff was tricky, but it ended up being it was strange for me to take on something new. I mean, I was totally like, I'd never taken on someone else's series before. I'd never like attempted to do that. And self and be there from the beginning, and that's part of the joy of doing it, is setting it all up. Can you just bear with me 1 sec? I've just got to speak to someone for 2 secs. Are you all good? It's fine. Just leave it and we'll talk later. It's fine. Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks for. Sorry. So it was doing that thing of taking on something someone else was. I wasn't sure about it. I had to be honest, and I had to be. Who was employing me and bringing me in, who's Peter Morgan, who's the main showrunner, was very much like, no, we don't want you just to do the same thing, and we do want you to do your own thing. And I think that's that's where you all want to be ending up, is being allowed to do the music that you are best at. I think, of course, you have to be adaptable. You have to be adaptable. You have to be adaptable in lots of ways, and you have to be adaptable in understanding the process. If you're going to be part of a film and a TV series, then you have to realize that you are only a small section of what's going on. I mean, and in your head, often you're playing a much bigger part than you actually are, and that's probably right that you should think that. But in the end, you are a very small part, really, 10, 15%. I don't know if you had to try and boil it down to what the creative input of music is in the overall show. It can have a huge impact, but it's nothing compared to the actors or the lines they're reading or the things that they're doing. That is the core bit. And so you have to be adaptable in order to understand that and be agile and responsive and considerate, while still trying to stick with what you do best and have some integrity. And I think the worst thing in any job is just being blown around until you don't know what you're writing anymore, until you're sort of like feeling like you're getting loads of different directions. And there comes a point where you have to go, look, this is what I write, and this is what I understand, and this is what I feel something for, and stick to that. So while being responsive, or being what was the word you used? Not agile, adaptable. Yeah, while being adaptable, you have to maintain an integrity yourself, and I think that's really really important. So in terms of The Crown, for me, I was really allowed to write stuff that I just wanted to write, and I was very much given a world in which to write it. And initially Peter Morgan was like, he gave me really good, interesting direction, like not, use French horns here, or we want more, we don't want a string score or something like that. He was very much like, I want you to sort of represent, The Crown is all about suppressed power and coiled power that's just beneath the surface. You can't really see it, but you can feel it, and stuff like that. And like, and that's so that was the kind of direction I got on the first series. With season 4, he left me alone a lot more, and I was kind of just writing the stuff I wanted to write, and obviously again, immersing myself in the world of The Crown and thinking about the characters, but then responding to it myself. And it wasn't a deliberate choice of, I'm going to use something radically different because this is a different era, or because it's it was the 80s. It was great, great musical decade to write stuff for. But it wasn't like I therefore just got out a load of 80s synthesizers and play with those. I mean, that would have been really good, but that's not what I didn't do it because of that. It was more because that's what I felt like I wanted to write.
Yeah, that's such a nice job to have, like we in our degree right now, we are given such specific instructions, like with the orchestra and stuff like that. And we don't actually even work in our 4 years of probably 2 years of really studying film music. We really try to get through the understanding of the orchestra and stuff like that. And then the rest is kind of, in the technology. And then the rest is kind of up to us. So something I've always loved about your scores is just this like really intriguing combo where it's very apparent that you have a connection to classical instruments and music, but you also have found a way to marry it with some really interesting like contemporary styles.
Great. I'm really glad that comes across, and I think that just goes back to what I was saying, where I come from, and it's true to what I've come from, and that stuff's in me, and I love the sounds and the mood of classical stuff, but actually I really like 3 chords, and I like the 3 chords of commercial music, and so it's being able to try and do something interesting with that, and
And I hear you have an assistant now. Last time we met, you were you hadn't moved yet because you've moved now, and you have an assistant now. So I was wondering, how in the last couple of years has your career shaped, and kind of, everybody, the question of assistantships and internships come up quite a bit. So, what were some things you were looking for when it came to finding someone to help you with your work?
It was. I don't have like a full-time assistant. I don't have a team of people working for me. I mean, there's a lot of those guys do, and they're really, I mean, there's a lot of, like Laurent Bell, for instance, has 5 or 6 people working for him full-time, writing stuff, and it doesn't particularly interest me in that. That's just a lot of people management and a lot of listening to other people's stuff and trying to work out whether it's going to work or not. And I'm a little bit more of a hermit and just want to kind of sit and write on my own on the whole. I do get assistants just to help with kind of, just when I'm at the end of a project, I've just finished a documentary film, and he was helping me with that and just stemming out and the kind of quite, on the whole, quite boring stuff. Stemming, preparing Pro Tools, usually quite technical stuff. But then obviously being able to understand the music and know the process is really important as an assistant. And I will have someone on the Crown when I sort of get near a recording, and it'll be prepping the recording sessions. And then also what happens, what's quite a lot happens is that they will use music of mine either from seasons 2, 3 and 4, or stuff I've written in the summer, and I'll have given them a track with some stems, and they'll have used it in the edit, and they'll have edited it all over the place. And it's reconstructing that, and that's quite a tedious and sort of, but quite tricky job of reconstructing the edits that they've done. Really listen to it and work out and then improve on it, and that's something that assistant can really help with, is just putting those tracks back together, and I think that's quite reasonably fun for an assistant to do, because they're also seeing how my tracks are working and how it's working to picture and what it's doing. I don't have an army of people working for me like some people, that's for sure.
Definitely. And I remember that about you. And I remember being intrigued by that because, we interviewed Lauren Balfe earlier this semester, in the last semester.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we met one of his assistants, and, it was crazy, but I like being able to kind of have this like full scope of understanding of all the different, ways you can work in the industry. Because to me, like being an LA composer with a lot of people, that isn't necessarily something I'm dying to do. Kind of have the setup that you have, being able to work, kind of alone with some help, and I think that's
awesome. Use the help when I can. I mean, also I have to say, quite a lot of people do work virtually with people, with assistants, and for me, it's kind of, if I'm gonna, it is nice to see somebody when I actually in the flesh, since I don't see many, I don't see many people in my working day a lot of the time. So it is nice to have someone around actually, and therefore probably living fairly nearby is for me, would be part of it. Yeah, I think I don't think I would take on someone who was not, who couldn't kind of come and hang out here in person. That would be another side of it for me.
So I see a couple questions we have from some students. So Med Hat, if you're there, I would love for you to ask your question in person.
Hey, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good.
I just had a question for you regarding. I'd love you to describe your workflow when you're working on a show and what.
So for The Crown, it's a really odd thing, and I haven't odd as in that I haven't had any show like this before. So I'll tell you what it's like on The Crown, but I wouldn't say it's like that for most things I've done. I'm literally taking the best part of a year to do each season. I do other things along the way, but not very much. And I just did something. I just did this film over Christmas, and it was fucking hard work. And I sort of like, oh God, it was like I didn't really get any break in Christmas, and so I can't quite fit other stuff in. So the workflow is at the beginning of each season, I'll get the scripts just as they're about to start filming, and then I will go away and really shut myself away for a couple of months and just write stuff in response to the scripts and in response to some pretty minimal meetings, but some feedback from Peter Morgan, who's the main guy, and that'll be it. That's the only sort of input I get. He's completely in charge, and the directors at that stage are very much geared towards filming and not really thinking about music at all. So I'll do this stuff and sort of put it out there really, and it goes to all the editors, and when they start assembling stuff that they're getting in from the shoot, they'll start playing with it, and this process then goes on for months. And so I had a month or two around, they started filming in the summer, and I had a sort of month or two around October, November, where not much was happening really, and I was doing this other project. And then come end of December, January, things started to, the edits started to come together, and I'd start getting kind of requests of like, well, look, we haven't really found anything of your stuff for this cue, or we've got something, but we don't think it works very well. And now it's a very, basically where I'm at now, where the first episode, which is actually episode 5, mixes in middle of April, and I am now looking at 5 episodes pretty much at the same time, in various stages of completion. And it's actually for episodes, it's all over the place. There's no, the sequence of this stuff is so random. The first 2 episodes have taken way longer than any of the other episodes, not just for me, for the edit. They've been editing for months, and they've got trouble with them. And I think they've solved it now. I think they're looking good now. But on a big show like this, that's the luxury they have, and they do reshoots, and they do. And I had the strange situation that they temp, and the real luxury that they temp it all up with my stuff, either my old stuff or stuff I wrote while they were filming. And we have to then look at it once they've put it into the edit and used it. And is it right? Should it be something else? Can we improve on it? And there's like one episode, this episode 5, I think we'll hardly change it at all from what they put in. Everyone's really happy with it. And to be honest, there are other episodes that need a lot more attention. So that's my kind of workflow. My workflow is all over the place, right? Literally one day I'll be doing episode 5, 2 days later I'll be on 1. Then I'll spend a day in the edit with people just looking at stuff. And so it's pretty chaotic. And then suddenly we'll get to the stage where a few weeks away from actually delivering an episode, and be like, okay, we've just got to concentrate on this episode now, and do whatever recording we're going to do, and I'll do that. Then it'll be back to back delivering right through to August. and then the whole process starts again on the final season. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, so next we have, we're trying to do more of a Q&A this time so that people can.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Gabriel, why don't you pick one of your questions, unless you want me to ask them. If you wanted to just ask in person, if you could just pick one and then we can circle back, if that's cool.
Okay. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Hi, Gabriel.
My question is, what is something that you can say makes you unique and different from other composers?
Yeah, good question. And it's this kind of question I think you've all got to ask really a bit, to some degree anyway, and not get too worried about, but it's something you want to kind of work on throughout your career, is what makes you different. I would say that I like writing, or I'm good at writing simple melodic music that emotionally connects with characters, and has a strong emotion to it without being sentimental, which I think is a real trick in music, and can have a strong emotion in it without being over the top or overtly emotional. And I think that's what I'm good at. And I mean, I can tell you loads of things I'm not good at, in terms of like writing lots of notes or doing genre stuff. I'm pretty crap at, I'm not good at making people scared. I'm not good at making an audience really sort of excited, like, chases, that kind of stuff. But I can get a weight and a depth to stuff, and score. I think what's the sort of the inner strength or emotion of characters, I think I'm good at getting at, in quite a simple way. So yeah, I think that's what my strengths are.
I would have to agree. I mean, like, I hear your, I'm just like reminding myself of some of the things that I would love, like some of the themes, like Diana's theme I think about is like really simple in The Crown.
Right.
I think about, I remember that episode where they talked about, how do you pronounce it? It was Aberfan, when they had the music there. I remember just like being really emotional.
Yeah.
The music, we didn't have to like be that intrusive for it to be really, really effective.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's really good. And I think generally, I mean, there are lots of what I do. I try and do things really simply, and generally, I feel like I'm being more successful the less I'm doing. If I'm managing to do it with less, it's more successful on the whole. And that's a sort of, it's a good check to make sure that that you're not just piling stuff into your projects just to sort of add more for more's sake. I think that's people are always like pretty amazed when they see my Logic projects, and there's fuck all there really. And so it's I think that's a good thing for you to check if you can.
Yeah, I remember we talked about like what I was like, tell me about your projects. Like, do you work in Logic? Do you work with like Sam? And you were like, I work in Logic and I kind of do whatever I want. Like if it works out.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's plenty in there. I think actually, if you're talking about workflows and ways of working, setting yourself some restrictions is probably quite good. And I wish I did that more and had the courage to do that more. It's quite good when a director says, look, we only want to use wine glasses or something. I don't know. Or nothing bowed at all. It's quite a good thing. Or only only a Juno, I don't know, 306 or whatever they're, 106 or whatever they are, nothing else. It's a really interesting way of being creative by actually being very limited. But because there's so much stuff out there, and I am quite simple, but I do spend a lot of time just going through sounds and trying to find what it is. But I think that's right. You need to make sure every sound is as good as it can be.
Yeah, definitely. No, and then how you use them and integrate them is always just like so interesting to me. I have my board member Alexis right here who wanted to ask the
Hello.
next
Hi, Alexis.
question.
Hello. Hi.
I was wondering, since you like to keep it simple, you like to make the good emotion through your cues. How do you know when one is done? Like, how do you know when it's not missing anything else? Like, that's the final cue. You don't need to add anything more. Because I know some of us struggle with it needs
Right.
more, it needs more.
Yeah. Where I think that is quite an intuitive thing that you've sort of. So you can sort of you kind of get an internal message system tells you it's pretty good. I tend to set myself a limit. I'm really slow, I'm really slow in writing stuff, and so I will typically take 2 or 3 days to write an idea. And by a lot of people's standards, a lot of the people in my business, that's really slow, and people will just come back to you in an afternoon with something, and and often it's brilliant, and that's I spend far too much time sort of thinking or just painstakingly doing stuff. But so I think beyond 2 or 3 days you start to get sick of it and you start to not know what it is. So when I'm sick of it, that's when I think it's had enough. And I don't know about you guys, but I always go through a kind of like, when I first have an idea, I think it's brilliant. And then I go through a whole, then like by following day, I think it's just shite and rubbish and just a joke. And then I sort of come back somewhere in between by the time I finally submit it. Yeah, sometimes you just know it's good. And that's such a great feeling. And sometimes you kind of know it isn't, but you plow on anyway. And that's not so good.
Thank you for that. All right, we have a lot of questions. Good job, everybody. Okay, next person is Toby. If you want to ask your question, you can go ahead and unmute. I can ask the question, but yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Hi, Toby.
I'm a rather young film scorer here, and I'm in my second semester and still trying to develop my sound and whatnot. And I was curious whether you have any advice for someone that doesn't have a classical background in music for film scoring and whatnot, because it seems like that's really the leg up that I kind of lack.
Right. I mean, there's lots of things I wish I'd done when I was kind of your age, in terms of, I wish I'd learned to program synthesizers properly, and then I wish I'd learned to play a string instrument. So go out and try and learn it if you can. Why not? If you've got some time, I think in terms of musical theory, don't be overawed by it and the sort of classical world. As I say, I only use 3 chords really, or maybe 4 sometimes on a good day. So it's what you do with them. It's not how many you know. So you don't need to know a lot of stuff. It helps having a basic knowledge, but in the end, you have to do what you're naturally good at, and you've naturally are sort of programmed to do. So play to your strengths. If you're really good at doing stuff by ear, do it by that. If you love playing and that's your strength, playing through an instrument, then do that. If it's just painstakingly working at the computer until something sounds halfway decent like me, then do it like that. But don't get too worried by the fact that you don't know classical stuff, especially these days. It's another. The more strings in the bow you have, so to speak, the better, for sure, at the top level. And my keyboard playing is awful. It's embarrassing. I'll never play in front of anybody if I can possibly help it. And I wish that was better. And I wish that I wish I had a better harmonic understanding and an idea about how to develop something harmonically. But I don't, but I get by, and that's fine. So yeah, if you have time though, why not? Go to do the online course if you can.
Next person we have, and also I guess to just follow up on that question, I was one of those students that was like really new to music when I started college. And so I really am like a firm believer that like exactly what you're saying, like you're totally capable of taking courses, learning lots as much as you want on your own pretty much. And
right. Yeah, it's true, especially these days, can't you? There's so much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you can open Logic and you have an orchestra.
Yeah.
Next person we have is Annabelle. Annabelle, if you want to go ahead and ask your question, you're totally welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Professor.
Hi, Annabelle. Hi.
It's
Professor, I like that.
very nice to meet you. I was wondering, because we are in this dramatic scoring for film class, and we have all this question about what is the key element that defines more like the expressivity of the music for film. And each one in the class has, their own opinions. I was wondering which one will be yours.
Just repeat the question. What in the
key element that defines expressivity in music? Like is harmony or melody?
It's such a good question, and I'm really not sure I have an answer to that. Key element that defines expressivity. I mean, for me personally, it's the combination of the sound and, as I say, the depth of the sound combined with slight simple harmony, simple emotional harmony. But what that is, I couldn't tell you. I know a chord sequence that I like when I hear it, and I think it's about. I think it's for me. It is melodic music. It's harmony that makes sense, and it's a melody that hooks you in some way, and there's some kind of beautiful hook in there, and that little chord sequence that you know it when you hear it, or you know it when you play it, and I think that's the key term. You can have the best sounds in the world, you can have the most interesting sounds. I mean, a lot of people send me like add up to anything for me. They don't emotionally grab me or take me anywhere particularly. They just sound like a jumble of really cool sounds, and that doesn't work for me. So that doesn't capture the expressivity in the piece. I think you have to have an idea in there. You have to have a harmonic idea in there for me, which might be really old-fashioned, but I think you do, to be more than just a texture. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I agree on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Jake Siders, are you here? Go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, Jake.
Hi. So my question was just about generating suites of material for something when kind of all you have is a script or maybe one short scene or something. Where you don't have much of a locked picture, but you have time and you need to work. So how do you sort of find an effective concept that's going to work without knowing what it's really going to look like against the picture?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really hard thing, and writing music before you've got picture is a real punt for sure, and it takes quite a lot of bravery, and unless when I came onto the Crown, for instance, it knew what it was. I mean, obviously it was already done 2 successful seasons, so it really it's hard. It's really hard writing in advance for stuff, but it can be great, and it's just about you finding a narrative framework in your head, an emotional landscape that triggers music within you, and you locking into that whatever, even if you just imagine scenes in your head, or do with what the final score ends up sounding like. But it's a useful process, and just writing, that's just the best thing of all, is writing stuff that writing stuff that you like as well. yeah, I think you just got to jump in there and not overthink it.
Awesome. Okay, next on our list would be Deborah. So Deborah, if you want to go ahead and ask your question. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello, Martin. Good to see you.
Mm.
So I kind of worked with one director last year, and I was kind of struggling with one problem, and I wanted to ask you, how do you deal with handle with like the director when the director requires you the style of music which you actually think that doesn't really fit fits to the scene, and do you just follow what exactly he requires you?
Well, it's kind of what I was saying. Yeah, it's kind of what I was trying to say earlier, was that you have to understand what you're doing, and you have to understand. And if you've written a piece for a director and they don't like it, and it doesn't work for them, you have to understand why it doesn't work for them, and what they're hearing, and what they want to be feeling when they hear your music to picture, and see, try and get it underneath that, about what, because music is so subjective and you can talk about it endlessly, but it actually doesn't, the words don't mean much. It's about how that person is feeling, and the person who's in charge of you is feeling. And so you have to find a way to try and give them that. And obviously, if it's completely alien to you and you don't like it, and I think if you don't understand, I mean, it's obviously dangerous in a job, and you can cause yourself problems. But I think in the end, it's better to be honest. If you don't get what they're saying, and you don't, and they play you a piece of music to the picture, and you're just thinking that's stupid, I don't get that at all. The emotion doesn't work. It's better to say it, because, politely, obviously, but so that they can, because they need to really, it's their job to explain to you what they want to feel, and you want to push them to do that, and also and explain what they're not feeling when they hear your music.
Thank you.
No problem.
I wanted to ask a question a little bit about, this is a little bit out of what we've been talking about, but, as someone that works, for themselves and sets their kind of like day-to-day timelines and such, what are some tactics you use to be a productive musician when, you are in your own studio and stuff like that? And what are some healthy practices that you've kind of put into your life to be productive but balanced and stuff like that?
Well, it's really, if things aren't going well, it's really hard to just to keep a regulated day and not kind of lose sight. The worst thing is when you're just hammering away at a piece for hour after hour after hour, and it's not going anywhere. And it's really easy to say, oh yeah, you just got to take a break and go and get some air and do some exercise or stuff like that. But that is what you got to do, because there is no point in just carrying on and on and on. And it's that horrible feeling of leaving a piece when it's not working, but you've just got to give up and go away from it. But you have got to do that. And I mean, I've got a really regulated day now. It's pretty clockwork, my day. And I think if you're working day in, day out, you have to do it like that. And for me, very much part of it I take quite a long break in the middle of the afternoon, and then work sort of 8 o'clock or something in the evening. But I do a couple of hours in the afternoon. I go off and do exercise or do something that's going to totally take my head out of it, so I can come back and be relatively clear-headed. I've also got into cold showers recently and cold water swimming. So that fucking sorts your head out. That really does. That clears your head, believe me. Especially in the middle of an ice storm.
I love asking that question because, like when we spoke to Pinar Toprak, she was like, I love having a hobby. For me, it's sailing. I have to go sail. I have to go take walks to come up with ideas. And so I always like asking that question because I'm so like, composers, when we hear them on Spotify and all our playlists, I'm so interested in like the individual. So So we are wrapping up on the hour here. Does anyone else have any other questions at this point? If you wanted to just unmute, or if not, we can kind of start to. Unless you have any questions for us, Martin.
Oh wow! Well, it's God, it's great to see. And I would say, give me a shout if you're in London. You know, come and say hello, please. You'll be really welcome. So that would be really nice. I've got a nice setup, new studio which you haven't seen, Lauren. Which with some nice people around, and it's come and say hello. That would be great.
Well, thank you so much. I'm always just like talking you up. I've been a fan of your music. You know, like your music was some of the first film music I really started to take and really like absorb as I really got into the field. So I know that might seem like a lot, but you're always one of my top people that I just like so excited about when tracks come.
Yeah.
You're such a lovely individual to talk to, and you know, it's just super easy to communicate with, and so I really.
Well, it's a really lonely, like it's a solitary process writing, doing what we do, and I don't know how, you know, mentally how a lot of you cope with it, but it can be quite tough, you know, for sure, and because you kind of. I'm quite a sociable person, but I can't do my job with people around me, you know, just hanging around. It doesn't work. I've just got to be on my own doing my thing. And so it's nice, you know, it's nice to know other people are out there for sure.
Yep. And my mom wanted me to tell you that your Victoria theme song is one of her.
Oh, right. Yeah, I love writing that.
Fan of the Victoria soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, great.
She wanted to let you know that was her ringtone.
Brilliant. Well, respect to her. Thanks for that.
Well, thank you.
That's her ringtone.
What's that? Sorry?
That's her ringtone, did you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Okay.
Yep. That choir comes in.
Okay. Send me a clip of that. I want to hear her phone ringing with that ringtone. That'll be funny.
I will. Well, thank you so much. It was so nice meeting with you. Thank you to everybody who came. We had so many people show up, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, that's
thank
brilliant.
You so
and,
much.
Good luck to you all. Yeah, really good luck to you all. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good rest of your week. Yeah.
Be safe.
See you all on Monday. Thanks for coming, Kathy. I always like seeing you.
Hi, Kathy.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. I'm a tutor this weekend. If anybody has any technology questions, come by. So all those interchanges, right? All right. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you.